I'm on stage wearing my dad's old suit and tie, and I'm looking out in the audience, and I believe that every single one of the 1,200 people at any moment is going to come and take my life simultaneously. Hey guys, what is crackin', Hope Nation? It is great to be with you yet again for another vlog here on youtube.com/Kevin Hines. Make sure if you haven't already, hit subscribe, click the bell, and if you're not part of our team yet, if you're not part of Hope Nation, join the team, join the vlog, and share this with friends after today. Make sure you give this one a good thumbs up, or 2 or 7, whatever you feel like doing. Okay, let's get right into it. I've got my trusty computer here, and I am going to answer some questions from Instagram. Yes, we put out a message the other day. What do you want us to answer and why? When I say us, I mean we, the collective, we. All right, here we go. You've asked me some great questions. I'm ready to answer them. 3, 2, 1, go. First question of the day from Insta is, oh, this is hilarious. You must have seen one of my old posts. Why does your left eye shut, Kevin, when you eat ice cream? Yes, so for a while there, and even now, if I consume dairy, I have a problem. My left eye shuts completely. I look like I have a black eye from someone punching me. It's pretty ridiculous. Let me tell you why. Dairy cannot be digested properly by 75% of the human population. If you didn't know that, you know it now. Dairy was meant to be eaten and consumed by babies up to 7 years of age. People who consume it today, most of them cannot digest it properly, not to mention that I don't have a gallbladder to break down with enzymes that composition of that food. So I realized that every time I was eating dairy, it would just swell up my eyes, swell up my face, cause scaly skin over my entire face, neck, and elbows, inner elbows. If that's what this, I don't know if this is called an inner elbow. Yes, it is now. Yes, dairy really F's me up and I don't deal with it anymore at all. I don't eat dairy 1 iota anymore because I can't. Also, when I quit dairy, my paranoid delusions significantly went down from my bipolar disorder, which was a great win for me. And lastly, but maybe more importantly, my asthma got in better control when I stopped eating dairy. Yes, I do not have regular asthma attacks since quitting dairy. How great is that? That means that I can go on a run for 9 miles without taking my breather, and I'm all good. I've had exercise-induced asthma since kindergarten, so this is really exciting for me. Lost a lot of weight, quit dairy and don't have as many asthma attacks, quit dairy and don't have paranoid delusions, quit dairy and my eye doesn't shut closed. Win, 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 win situation. Let's go to the next question. Kevin, why do you live in Atlanta? Well, I'm glad that you're inquiring as to such an inquiring question. You must be an inquisitive-minded person. Why do I live in Atlanta? Let's break it down. This is pretty hilarious. My wife called me one day, and she said, Kevin, we're moving. I said, I'm going where you're going. She said, are you sure? I said, I'm going where you're going. She said, we're moving to Atlanta. Your stuff is packed. The moving truck, a full semi, is all ready to go. We're moving next week. I said, what am I going to tell my family? She said, you figure it out. We're out of here. She sold the house in San Francisco. We went on our merry way. We moved in a week. The apartment was rented. And now we live in Atlanta full-time for 3 years, and we love it. Moved to Atlanta also because of one very, very important thing, the Delta hub. Take Delta flights everywhere I go. Thank you. Shout out to Delta. We do some work with them in their corporate offices. So fly high in those skies, Delta guys and gals and individuals of all kinds. Love that Delta Airlines, and the Delta hub is in Atlanta. It's the largest, busiest airport in the world, taking over Heathrow's a combination of that. And now I fly through Delta through Atlanta probably every day or every other day, if not every 3 days. So moved to Atlanta for an easier way to get to the Midwest, East Coast, and South in 1.5 to 2.5 hours. Like that lickety split, get some editing done on the plane, get some work on the plane, or some rest time watching some of my favorite Netflix shows, or Amazon Prime, or iTunes, or whatever platform is of the day. So I love Atlanta, I love it here, I love the people, and my wife and I, Margaret, are having a great old time. And lastly, and I want to be very honest about this, the last reason, which maybe is one of the more important reasons, Margaret's mom passed away of lung and brain cancer in our home in San Francisco, and quite frankly, we couldn't be there anymore. It was too hard. She passed away in our arms, and we love her so much, and everything in that city reminded my lovely wife of her mom, and who was her best friend in the whole world. So it was tough. So we got the heck out of there. No offense to San Francisco. It is changing quite a bit. We won't get into that until another vlog. But we do go back to San Francisco for a wonderful vlog coming up where we go back to the very place Margaret and I used to hang out, her old apartment, her old stomping grounds. Lots of great stories there. We break that all down in a vlog coming up pretty soon. Travel tips while living with bipolar disorder. Okay, here we go. Here's the deal. If you don't know, people that live with bipolar disorder, depression, things like mental illness of any kind, need to develop a very serious regimen and routine to better their brain health. For me, that means exercising every day, twice a day without fail, except for Sundays. That means eating healthy foods, mostly non-inflammatory, most days of the week, having my cheat days on Sundays as well. It means educating myself every time there's a new publication about bipolar disorder and the newest findings and treatments to better the disease, to opt into your plan to change your life. That means I take those articles, I opt in those pieces of the regimen, I build it every single time I learn something new. Proven, reputable, formidable treatments to better your brain health while living with this disease on the road. So that means that everything is routined. That means I wake up at the same time, no matter the time zone, and take my medication that morning. If you're not on medication, great for you. If you're using holistic efforts to balance your brain health, wonderful, keep it up. But that means waking up in the morning, taking my medication, exercising, doing modality work, and then taking the time to do 30 deep breaths for my brain health, as in inhaling 4 seconds through my nose, exhaling pursed lips like a whistle but no sound. What that does is lower my blood pressure, my heart rate, a panic attack, quells an anxiety attack, and it also lowers and brings to a calm an adrenaline rush. So I do these things in the morning because when you wake up, sometimes you wake up in a fervor of flight to get ready for the day. What you really need to be doing is resting your mind as soon as you get upright, vertical, and taking that time to breathe, to take in breath, and to, I do 30 in the morning, 30 in the afternoon, 30 at night, and then I do them whenever I have a presentation right before my prayer. I do that because it helps me stabilize my brain function, and then I get right into the day. Okay. Also, I pack my bag very efficiently. We'll get into that in another vlog. All right. Let's see. How do blue lights help me stay well? Let's talk about this. Not a lot of people know about blue wave Lightbox technology. It is increased and grown in its technology in the last 3 years. But we know through a study out of, I think, Georgia, we know that blue wave Lightbox technology helps balance people with bipolar disorder, depression, and seasonal affective disorder. And what it does, it originally was made for seasonal affective disorder, people who are affected by lack of sunlight, low vitamin D functionality. And what you do with the blue light wave is you put it right over here to the corner while you're doing your morning emails or reading your morning paper or reading a book, whatever you do in the morning, whatever your morning routine is after you've breathed, exercised, eating healthy, or physically capable. I put that blue wave Lightbox technology right next to me. The light shines into my eyes, don't look directly into it. I utilize it for 20 minutes a day, and I can tell you that after utilizing it for now a couple of years, I am more mentally stable than I've been in a long time, and I can attribute it directly to that and keeping my moods in check. And so it's wonderful how it affects the brain. Now, let's be clear. I got a doctor's recommendation to use that blue wave Lightbox technology every morning. I don't do it just willy-nilly. I don't just go buy it from a store or buy it online. What I do that's important is make sure that it's recommended by a doctor, that the timeline in which you're using it is submitted by that doctor. I actually didn't listen to the doctor in the beginning. I wasn't compliant. I used it for longer than I was supposed to. And as a person living with bipolar disorder, the manic upswings, the down depressions, it caused extreme mania. I learned the hard way. I shouldn't anymore, but I had to lower the number of minutes I would use it a day, and that brought me back down to a calm. Because, you know, when you listen to a doctor that's had their education and understands how it works, and you comply with that treatment, it's usually a better situation. Let's move on to the next question. what does my self-care look like? We broke it down a little bit. The routine, the regimen, the exercise, eating healthily, the understanding what foods affect the brain, understanding that your gut membranes are directly attached to your brain, and that when you eat poor, non-nutritious foods like refined sugar, tons of gluten, tons of dairy, copious amounts of caffeine, other foods that are not healthy for your brain. When you look at the candy this nation has, it is completely refined sugar, which is made from factories and not made from Mother Earth, and it's copious amounts of it can be dangerous to your brain, mind, behavioral, and physical health. So when I cut out dairy, gluten, caffeine, and refined sugar 30 days in a row, removing one at a time, I found that it significantly improved my brain health. This is an individual who has personal experience. You're talking about a guy who was severely paranoid, believing that people everywhere were trying to harm or kill me or out to get me, to going to mostly not having any of those thoughts anymore. You're talking about a guy who had hallucinations on a regular basis for, almost every day. And I don't anymore. I have them once in a while. And I know they can't hurt me. I know they're only in a distorted reality that doesn't affect anybody around me but me. And thus I can determine that they can't destroy me or hurt me in that way. So it's been really good finding out what foods damage my brain health. So you go from eating healthily, educating yourself about the diagnosis, exercising every day, to using coping strategies and coping mechanisms like art therapy, music therapy, and writing, drawing, getting into the arts and things like that, becoming someone who regularly puts pen or sketch to pad and creates something that takes me out of myself and makes me feel better. One of the things that's really important to me is listening to music that is positive. We live in a country where there's a lot of music that's very negative, and it's directed toward our children. And it's really sad when there's such misogynistic, hateful, spiteful, aggressive music of all types and genres that is targeting our kids. And right now we live in a world where music therapy, positive music, can help benefit your brain. Here's the facts, folks. Music has the power to alter brainwaves and brain patterns. If you're listening to music that's hateful, spiteful, aggressive, and mean, and degrading toward other people of any kind, it makes you feel that way. And if you're listening to depressive music, if you're listening to music that is somber in tone about dangerous or depressive things, guess what? You're going to feel that way. It's the same concept of like looking in the mirror and giving yourself negative inner critical talk. Because if you look in the mirror and you hate yourself like I used to self-loathe a lot. And when I stopped self-loathing, when I started reversing the negative inner critical voice and using a positive voice, when every time I said, Kevin, you're so stupid or ugly, I looked, no, Kevin, you're beautiful and you're wonderful. And you deserve this life into your natural end. When I started reversing the negative inner critical voice and using a positive one, I retrained the brain. And I have to do it every time because it makes me feel safe and better and more positive about my experience. And thus, the music that I used to listen to that was hateful and spiteful, I've replaced it with positive, hopeful, and uplifting music that actually changes my brainwaves and makes me more connected to the people around me. And it helps me smile more and laugh more and be more free, willing, and loving and caring to myself and others. That's what my self-care looks like, just a little touch of it there. The first time I went to therapy. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is a while ago. I've been in therapy on and off for the better part of 23 years. I'm only 37, so the majority of my life. And I did that because once I found out if I was honest in talk therapy, I realized how much it could help me. You see, getting to the root of your problem is the key to defeating it. If you never get to the root of your problems, you cannot get past the point of pain to find recovery, well-being, and what I call the art of wellness, which we're going to get into a whole video series about the art of wellness, and that's going to be exciting. We've got one right now on the channel on the playlist section, but that was when I was a little younger, a little less healthy, and a little less well. So I need to re-update that, and we're going to put out a whole new series, and we're going to do not just 2 to 3 minutes or 2 to 5 minutes of each answer of the art of wellness, each of the 10 steps to bettering brain health. We are going to do a full 10 minutes per step and really get into the nitty-gritty of it all. Let's talk about personal boundaries. How do you manage family, friends, and travel? Well, you know what? You Instagram folks and asking me these questions, these are great questions. I really appreciate them. Let's get into this one. We'll do 2 more after that, and then we'll call it a day, and that'll be the vlog. Personal boundaries. How do you manage family, friends, and travel? One of the things I realized as I got older is that people need to manage their expectations of others. And frankly, people need to manage their expectations of me. I'm doing the best I can, and the way I set personal boundaries is making sure that my family members that are core, key, and connected to my mental health know how I'm doing mentally on a regular basis so that they don't have to call me and be like, Kevin, how are you? I'm a little worried about you. Instead of doing that, I go to them and say, hey, I just want to update you. My personal protectors, as I call them, I let them know that when I'm safe, when I'm not, and if I'm not self-aware and they recognize it, they have a connection and an e-file that they know when they need to call my doctors when I'm unwell and non-responsive and they're worried about me and I'm not engaging in that self-care and telling them how I'm doing on a regular basis. They know to call my doctors and say, hey, we're worried about Kev. We haven't heard from him in a while. Want to make sure his mental health is intact. Doc A, how is he doing in treatment? And that's when my psychiatrist or therapist or even my primary care physician, hell, my dentist, all have connections to my mental health plan folks, my personal protectors. I've signed release forms, which is very smart of me, so that when they want to know about my treatment, they're given all the information they need, usurping HIPAA laws, which is very hard to do, but very important for the people that I've opted into my network to help have me balance my brain health. So all of these things are protective factors. But when people get too inquisitive, when people get too worried, when people jump down my throat and feel like I'm going down a bad path when I'm actually not, I make it known to them that I'm in a safe place and we can let it go at that, and I will let them know when I'm having a hard time, or if they don't hear from me, reach out to my doctors, as I said earlier. So those boundaries I set are important so that I don't feel smothered by folks around me, but I also feel loved, cared for, and that they're compassionate and completely empathetic. They'll never understand what I go through. I'll never understand what you're going through. I don't live your life. I don't walk in your shoes. What I can do is empathize with your pain and try to help you move onward and forge forward so you can have a better life tomorrow. Let's get right into it. What is your favorite music? I've been listening, and I've been really listening to chant music lately. These are Gregorian monks chanting. It's kind of an acquired taste, but I listen to it when I go to sleep. It is one of the best sleep musics you can possibly imagine. And you wake up, and even though I don't understand the Latin words being said, I know they're of my Catholic faith and they make me feel better in the morning. I also listen to now a lot of Motown Essentials. I've got the Motown Essentials album, which is one of my favorites of all time. Of course, it's got the song "My Girl" on there by the Temptations, which of course is directed right at Margaret Hines. And she's got this, and I've also got the song there that is the opposite for me from her. And I listen to a lot of Motown, a lot of jazz, a lot of very, very uplifting music. I actually recently removed all the negative music from my life, as I told you earlier, because it was just impacting me in a bad way. I was getting aggressive and angry, and I realized that something was affecting me. It happened to be the very music I was listening to. Yes, this music is the beats are great. You can't lie. But some of the words being said are scary and violent, and I really want nothing to do with it. I'm a 37-year-old man. I don't need that nonsense in my life. I need happy music that makes me feel good. That's what I do. Let's get into one more question. Oh, okay, this is a good one. Paranoid delusions, Kevin. How do I manage them? I can't tell you how to manage your paranoid delusions. I can tell you through story how I managed mine. Now, back in the day, when I had these paranoid delusions, feeling like people were out to get me, trying to hurt me, trying to kill me. When I saw a crowd, when I went to speak to them, thousands of people at a time, some military, some law enforcement, all of the above, clinicians, doctors, teachers, students, hospital clinicians, and I find myself in front of audiences of whether it's 500 or 1,000 or 3 to 10,000. There's this feeling I get in the pit of my stomach, and it's the first paranoid delusion I ever had when I first had my initial mental breakdown on a stage, and this is where it comes from, on a stage with 1,200 people at Archbishop Reardon High School, the high school my father went to, and I'm on stage wearing my dad's old suit and tie, and I'm looking out in the audience, and I believe that every single one of the 1,200 people at any moment is going to come and take my life simultaneously. Stop right there. What would you do if you saw that? What would you do if you believed that? I was wrong. It was a delusion, but I didn't know that at the time. I ran off stage, ran to the lobby, and was consoled by the theater director, who was a second father figure to me. But over time, this became a norm. I'd go to an audience, I'd go to speak, I'd be by the mic or the AV department or production partners, and I'd be panicking on the inside. I'd be terrified that at any moment they were going to do this. They were going to take my life. That's what paranoid delusions do. And when they're extreme, they're extreme. I'd be on a bus thinking that people were talking about me, trying to kill me. Brain pain is real, folks. And I ended up often looking at that crowd because I got to do my job and I got to try to reach some people, saying to myself, well, you saw this in the film we made, Suicide: The Ripple Effect. Out right now on Google Play, Vudu, Amazon Prime, iTunes, and YouTube. That was a shameless plug, sorry. But I feel like this way often. And I say to myself in front of that crowd, whatever crowd, however many people, well, I'm going to give them a good message before I die. But here's the thing, guys. I'm still here. It's never happened. So logic states that it's not going to, right? So if I feel like they're coming to get me, I have to play logic into my mind at that moment. Not the rapper, although he's great. We met him. He's a wonderful man. Gave me a big hug one time. But no, I'll tell you, I had to recognize through self-awareness techniques that paranoid delusion is most likely not legitimate. Now, let's wait for a minute. There are a lot of people who have paranoid delusions from PTSD, from post-traumatic stress disorder, which I would rather call post-traumatic growth. Because, we have this thing we call post-traumatic stress disorder, which doesn't factor in the people that are utilizing that trauma to build their lives, not let their pain defeat them, let it build them. But we'll get into that a little later and we'll really dig in. Maybe we'll have some guests on the show from the military bases we've talked to. That would be huge. And once again, post-traumatic stress disorder, as it's named today, doesn't just happen to war veterans, which is a common misnomer, a common myth. It happens to people who've gone through any kind of trauma. If you've been abused, neglected, or hurt by someone in a very vicious way, you can have these kinds of symptoms. Now let's get back to the part of what you're asking. How do I manage my paranoid delusions? Well, what I do is a similar thing that I do with my visual and auditory hallucinations that I have. When I have any of those symptoms, if I'm cognizant of them in a way that is promoting self-awareness, I immediately do a tool and a technique that has been taught to me by my doctors. I clasp my hands together. I press the weight of my palms against them. I watch only my palms. As you look at me do this right now, let's move this computer. Palms down on themselves. Here we go. I feel the weight and I wait until that is the only thing on my mind. And that weight and that pressure on my hands takes me out of that distorted reality, however distorted it is. Paranoid delusion, hallucination, auditory or visual, both. I bring myself to a center. I focus and I recognize that those things cannot hurt me. They are in a distorted reality that nobody else is experiencing but me. It's real to me, I don't deny that, but I don't let it take over my day, usually. There are some times when I cannot break free from those delusions or hallucinations, and it is terrible. But this is how I cope. And the second place I cope, especially with paranoid delusions or hallucinations, is I walk up to someone who loves me in real life, and I say, do you see that man in the corner with a butcher knife? Is he coming to kill me? They say, Kevin, there's no one in that corner. And my friends and family are no to say, that's real to you, Kevin. It's not real to us. It is in a distorted reality. It cannot hurt you. My job is to listen to the people that love me, that tell me it's not going to hurt me, that the paranoid delusion is just that paranoia, and that I'm safe. So, when these things happen, I tell the truth. The truth will always set you free. When these things occur, it is crucial for me to exercise my self-awareness techniques so that I can get to the next day, survive, and maybe thrive. And that is how I get through these things. That's how I break it down and make sure that I'm safe. And that is how I move forward one day at a time with this diagnosis and try my best to be well so I can be here tomorrow and every day after that. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, people of all ages and people of all kinds who are watching this vlog, if you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe. It's going to be right over here. And click that bell right up there and make sure you fight for your own mental, mind, brain, and behavioral health. That's it, guys. That's the vlog. YouTube.com/Kevin Hines. Hit subscribe. Click that bell. If you haven't already, make sure you go to KevinHinesStory.com/shop and get your merch today. It is the healthiest merch in the game.